So what's the difference between a loose head prop and a tight head prop? A lot of people assume that these positions are really similar, but if we look at them from the core standpoints of each role, they are very different. And I'm going to be going through some of the key differences between each position. Now, my name's Hassan. I've made this channel on YouTube to help rugby players improve their own game and give them tips and advice that can help them play at a higher level. So if that is something that interests yourself, please do subscribe to the channel and support the content. Now, with that being said, guys, let's get straight into this video today. So the first thing I'm going to look at is a bit of the scrummaging that is involved with both these roles. As we know, props are very vital within the scrum and have a really important role, but the loose head and the tight head have rather varying roles in terms of how their position affects the scrum. And the first thing I want to talk about is actually the positioning you get into. Now, with a loose head prop, you're going to be only involving one of your shoulders. As a loose head, you're only going to be using your right shoulder in the scrum, as this is going to be engaged against the opposition's tight head, and your left shoulder will be free and out of the scrum. Whereas the tight head, your right shoulder and left shoulder are going to be involved in the scrum, with pressure being applied from the opposition's hooker and loose head. Now, this is very important as I go through this video, because this core principle is going to kind of dictate whether you're going to be suited to being a loose head or a tight head. Now, let's go down more in terms of the roles. So I would say that a loose head is described as the disruptor on the pitch. Now, by this I mean you got to be a lot more agile in terms of the way you play, the way you carry, and the way you get around the field. And I'd say the tight head is more of an anchor on the field. Now, if you just look at this a bit more, so in terms of the loose head within the scrum, your job primarily is to disrupt the tight head and get under their ribcage to try and uplift them off the floor and cause an instability in the opposition scrum, looking to push them backwards and hopefully getting a scrum penalty and winning the ball back for your team. Whereas on the opposite side, you've got the tight head, whose job is to be the anchor of the scrum. Now, as I've already mentioned, the tight head is going to be experiencing a lot of pressure through their body, as they're going to be having the opposition hooker and loose head applying their pressure straight into their upper body, so in their traps and in their neck. So it's very important that the tight head has a really strong upper body, especially in the neck and the upper back, making sure that they can absorb a lot of this pressure and be very stable in their body positioning. Because if the tight head moves back in the scrum, the whole team will be moving back in the scrum, and it's going to lead to your team being in a variety of scenarios where you're at a disadvantage. Now, if you look at physiques, for a loose head prop, I would say most typically, out of the two propping positions, you're going to be most likely the shorter out of the two props, and you're also going to be a bit lighter, not only in body weight, but also in the way you move. You want to be a lot more agile, as I mentioned, because you're going to be expected to get around the pitch a lot quicker than the tight head. You're going to be, often relied upon to be one of the heavy ball carriers and be able to, create a lot of attacking momentum. But on the other hand, the tight head is going to normally be the taller and heavier out of the two props. This is because they need to most typically be the heaviest player on the pitch, and having a taller frame allows you to carry more weight, and it also means that with the extra weight you're going to be able to anchor yourself really well in the scrum. But alongside that, you've got to be able to get around the park, maybe not as quickly as the loose head, but you also are expected to get around the park and get involved in a lot of different phases, a lot of rooks, a lot of mauls, and a lot of tackles as well, especially in defence. Now, I'd say for both positions, when you're carrying the ball in, you got to be really dominant, you got to be really physical, and it's got to take at least 2 or 3 of the opposition players to take you down to the floor. That should be your goal when you're looking to carry the ball in. So that is a similarity between the two positions. You've got to be really dominant when you have the ball in hand. And then I just want to look at a bit more in-depth, a bit more advanced stuff in terms of scrummaging. So if we look at penalty traps for both positions, so most commonly a loose head is going to get penalised in the scrum, mainly because they aren't pushing straight in the scrum. They haven't got a flat back and they're not pushing straight in the scrum. A lot of the times they can be seen in the referee's view as angling their body in, pushing towards their hooker and pushing inwards on the tight head, which isn't legal in a lot of referees' eyes. So you don't want to be caught out doing this. You want to give a nice clear picture to the referee that you're pushing straight with a nice flat body, and by doing this you're going to be painting a nice picture to the referee, and you won't get penalised if you're trying to angle in your left shoulder into the tight head and causing them to lose their technical positioning within the scrum. Now for the tight head, the most common way that a tight head will get penalised in the scrum is if they are seen to be collapsing the scrum. Now this can be for a number of reasons. Maybe they aren't able to hold their body weight up in the scrum. They've experienced a lot of pressure and the body can't take it, so either their knees collapse and hit the floor, or the elbows hitting the floor. Either way, you don't want to let the referee see you do this, because it is going to go against you first. When the scrum collapses, more often than not, the referee's looking at the tight head prop and analysing whether to see if they've collapsed first. So it's really important for a tight head to be able to, use your body weight and use your size to really keep yourself up. You've got to have a lot of strength, not only in your legs, but your upper body as well, as I mentioned. You've got to be able to absorb that pressure, be an anchor, and be really strong and take on a lot of that pressure. Because not only as a tight head, you're able to do this, you're also setting up the play really nicely for your other teams. So let me just give you an example. As a tight head, if you're able to, keep the scrum up and, be really stable, it gives a really nice base for, your number 8 if he wants to pick and go, or if your team wants to have fast ball from the back, the scrum half can pass the ball out really quickly and really easily without the scrum, having his number 8 or second rows kick him in the face, for example. So it's really important as a tight head that you're really strong and you're really stable in the scrum. And then as a loose head, you're able to disrupt the scrum and you're really able to push forwards, but you need to make sure you do it in a disciplined manner with a nice flat body, pushing forwards, or at least painting to the referee that you're pushing forwards in a nice, strong and disciplined manner. And then the last thing I've got on my piece of paper for today's video is just looking at the scrum binding. So for a loose head, you want to be looking to get a nice long bind on your opposition tight head prop, looking to kind of basically bind on to where the shirt kind of meets the shorts, I'd say. That way you're going to get a nice long reach and you're going to really be able to get on top and underneath the tight head and hopefully disrupt them. But on the other hand, as a tight head, you want to get a nice short bind. You're probably going to be looking to grab either here by the lats or here where the armpit is, and you're going to want to make sure that you've got a nice firm bind onto the opposition loose head, so that way they can't get under you and they can't perform any dark arts on you in the scrum, and you can be nice and solid and there's no gaps for the loose head to kind of penetrate and exert force on you. So hopefully that has given you guys a bit of insight in terms of the differences between the two positions. Now in terms of obviously which position is better for you, I think it is most typically it is down to personal preference. I'd say, me personally, I've played a lot of rugby as loose head prop and tight head prop, and I'm quite versatile. I can play both positions, but that's just due to my nature of understanding what each role consists of. If you've got the rugby IQ for it, I think you can definitely get away with trying both positions and seeing which one you prefer. I don't think there's any set piece in terms of your size which dictates which one you can play. I mean, there's players who are 6'5" and weigh 125 kilos who can play loose head just as well as tight head. But then, for example, I'll take myself. I've played representative rugby as tight head, only being I'm only 5'9", 5'10" tall, but my body weight was only less than 100 kilos, and I was successfully winning penalties, winning scrums, and scoring tries as a tight head prop. So I would definitely say that it's more about your technique, rugby IQ, and understanding of the role rather than your actual physique and your size. But I'd also recommend really getting into the gym and training certain areas of your body, especially your neck, your legs, and your upper back. They're really important positions for either prop, and if you've got really strong muscles in those areas, you're going to have a really good solid base foundation where you can generate a lot of strength and have a lot of durability on the rugby pitch. So hopefully that's given you guys a really good insight in terms of which position might be suited for you, and hopefully you've watched this video and gained a really good understanding of each roles, the loose head prop and the tight head prop. If you found this video useful, please do leave it a thumbs up, and please make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you're notified when I do upload my next video. And with that being said, guys, I just want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you.